Last song. Remember what that woman named Aura told me. She said to embrace the heart of all things.
Welcome. I want you to burn. Burn! Welcome. This is it. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Let's get down. Let's get down. How's everybody doing? What's up, Paulie? What's up, Ray Hogan? What's up, Tammy? Octavio. Welcome, welcome. Brian Matson, my man. Pyrotechnics. Exactly. I'll fucking light it up today, yo. You know, I'm smudging the show. I'm getting the evil spirits out of the studio. Evil spirits be gone. Spikey, what's up? my people in the UK. Did you get those? Did you get those Oasis tickets? Hey, Gina, how you doing? How's Joyzy? Let's get it. Let's get lit. You know what? Speaking of getting lit,
Hello.
what are you doing? Bong hits in the car?
I would never do that.
Is that the car you never drive in the city?
Correct. This is my train station, band practice, go to breakfast car.
You know what? Speaking of Oasis, you sent me this Oasis picture. You saw them the last time they played New York, right?
I saw them. Yes, I saw them. There we go. That was at Radio City Music Hall in 2001. It was the tour of Brotherly Love, Oasis and the Black Crowes, with a band called Space Hog opening up.
Right on.
And yeah, I didn't realize until you told me that was the last time they played the States. I didn't realize it was that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean, they they've been broken up for 15 years, so but
hey, Darren, I got news for you. If you think Oasis is only in it for the money, you are sadly mistaken. That band, they are so wealthy that probably just from the announcement that they're reforming, just the announcement alone made people go back and listen. They probably made each guy $10 million each. Seriously, just for the bump in the catalog. I heard Noel Gallagher talking about that he sees more money now from Oasis than he ever did when they were together because of all the licensing of all that music.
Oh, I bet. And they just released the 30th anniversary of the first album this week. Just came out.
I hear they're doing 2 nights at MetLife Stadium, so I'll try to see that.
Really? Because I haven't heard any of the American stuff yet. Really? You're going to go to MetLife? You hate big rooms like that.
Yo, I want to see Oasis really bad.
Yeah. I wish they do the Garden.
And they're not. They're doing footballs. They're doing stadiums.
I know.
Yeah, that's
crazy. One. And that's him and Chris Robinson. That was at the end. That was at the encore.
He came out and played with them?
He came out with the Black Crowes at the end, yeah. I forget what song they did. It's been a long time for that one. But they were, you know what? They were great. But next to the Crowes, like, the Oasis at that point, nobody really moved on stage.
Yeah. Well.
But they sounded perfect. But then the Crowes, they ripped it up. So it was like kind of a weird thing, But I think now the world is ready for this Oasis reunion for sure. I mean,
tickets were $150, but Ticketmaster put some of the. That's what is 150 euros in what is 150? What is 150 euros in dollars? Somebody look that up, will you?
I'm wondering. I know a friend of mine got tickets for Manchester. Him and his wife, and they're flying out because they're. I have this
Mad Ferret. What's Mad Ferret, Theo? Yeah.
Mad Ferret.
Oh, $197. You know what?
That's not bad, honestly.
I'd spend $197 to see Oasis.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I'll tell you, I MetLife. That would be pretty cool. I wonder if they could sell out 2 nights in America at MetLife. That's 160,000 seats for 2 nights.
Thank you, Gina. Yeah, I mean that's not outrageous in this day. Listen, you want to know something about stadium shows? They suck. You want to know something? The last time I spent like a couple $100 on tickets because I never saw The Cure, and I spent stupid money to go see The Cure, and you know what? They sucked.
Didn't they play for like 3.5 hours too?
It was just fucked, man. It was like the whole thing was fucked. It was like they played forever. They played songs we didn't know. We split before it was even over. We were just beat down by the whole thing. I was like, it's on my bucket list. I gotta see The Cure. You want to know something? Let me tell you something about my bucket list. All you motherfuckers on my bucket list, you're gonna stay there because you're not worth fucking spending the money on anyway.
Who's left? Who else is on your list?
On my bucket list,
Other than Oasis.
Yeah, I hear you, Whitney. Yeah, if it didn't require travel. On my bucket list, Oasis, Chicago, for some reason. I want to see Chicago for some reason. I've never seen them. Who else have I never seen that's on my bucket list? Fugazi. What are you talking about, Fugazi? Fugazi's not. Why is all this talk lately about Fugazi playing? Fugazi's not playing. Yeah.
Chicago plays Jones Beach every summer, but it's not, it's not the classic 70s,
Who?
Chicago.
Yeah, it's like two horn players.
The early 70s. There's a great documentary.
Okay, you know what?
about them.
Hold on, let's bring Lori Dawn on.
Yes.
Hey there. Who's on your bucket list?
I don't know if I have a bucket. I think I've pretty much seen everybody. Well, there's so many actually. That I haven't
seen it all.
Let me ask this question. Yeah, this one goes out to you out there around the world. Who's on your bucket list? Give me the number one act on your bucket list. Post it in the chat room.
You know what I regret? I always wanted to see Jeff Beck. And he did 2 nights at the Paramount with Johnny Depp like 2 Decembers ago. And I didn't go, and he died like 2 months afterwards, and I regretted not going.
Dude, I saw Jeff Beck. I saw Jeff Beck in 1980. Right?
Oh, wow.
Hold on. Now that I
have a lot of bands that I wished I would have seen, but somebody,
Okay, get a load of this. All right, now that I've spent countless hours sorting out my stub collection, here is this. Get a load of this. Jeff Beck at the Palladium in 1980. 1980. I saw Jeff Beck at the Palladium in New York City, and we got up to the front row. We were tripping our faces off. We were like,
what album was he touring? Do you remember?
There and Back, or whatever it was called. All right, here we go. Here we go with some bucket list. Exciter and Warbringer. Pink Floyd. Dude, I don't think Pink Floyd's playing again. Kraftwerk, good one.
There you go.
David Hasselhoff. We'll go to Germany for that. He's a big star there.
Clapton.
Hey, Gitter, what's up? Magma.
I would have liked to have seen Clapton.
Magma. What's up, Gitter? Hope you're well, buddy. I see you're out there doing it. The Smiths. I don't think the Smiths are going to play again. Magma. Everyone's jumping on the Magma. Magma. Neil Young.
I saw Neil Young. I saw him a couple times. And I saw Neil Young, Soundgarden, and Blind Melon together at the beach. That was a great show.
That sounds like a fucking nightmare to me.
Especially at the beach.
You know who I saw at the beach here? Me and Mark Levine went. He's like, "You want to go?" I'm like, "All right." It was like Poison, Winger, and who headlined that abomination? Poison, Winger, and somebody else. I don't know.
God, does it get any?
It might have been Poison, Winger, and like David Lee Roth when he was like,
I think the last thing.
Oh, is that right? Whitney just dropped big money for front row seats to Morrissey on Halloween. That's kind of great. I'd spend money if you said, "Yo, front row seats." I'd see Morrissey. Yeah, Kate Bush. Good one,
I
Ryan.
love Kate Bush.
Good one, Ryan Bland. Poison Winger.
Ryan's got good taste.
Scott Earth says, "Poison Winger is my hell." Yo, Corey Feldman's getting mad love these days. Absolutely.
Oh man.
David Gilmour.
He's out there doing his thing.
I saw David Gilmour last time he played New York. It was
Gilmour's great. I never got to see them together. I never got to see Pink Floyd, but I've seen Roger and I've seen David separate.
Dude, let me tell you something. I see Roger Waters in my neighborhood. Waters, I don't think Waters and Gilmour are ever getting back together, especially now that what's his name? The keyboard, Rick Wright, passed away.
Yeah.
King Diamond, absolutely good one.
He's coming to the King's Theater.
Yeah.
I know. Rochelle wants to go. She's
That's
like,
going to be a great
I'm
show.
getting us tickets for King Diamond. I'm like, don't fucking spend the money on King Diamond.
No, that's a good bill. That's a
Yeah,
lot
I'm
of good
going to
bands.
see them in
Like,
Boston.
That's going to be a good show.
Yeah, I'm going to see him in Boston.
You know,
That's my-
I always wanted to see Clapton, but I think it's too late now.
Here's the last time I saw King Diamond, right? Wait. This is on when I was out with Biohazard and they played some festival with King Diamond.
Oh, look at that.
That's me, Evan Seinfeld, King, and Robert Cheveria, who was in Biohazard at the time. Look at that.
Oh, wow.
one.
That's a great shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the King Diamond. I mean, the Merciful Fate show at the King's Theater was great too. I mean, his voice aged really well, I think.
Yeah, he's coming around with Overkill, except for the Boston date, of course.
And Night Demon was really good.
I don't think the Kinks have played in 30 years.
My very first
love
arena
them
show
too.
was the Kinks.
The original Sepultura. I got news for you. You could almost bank on the fact that after Sepultura does this whole farewell fucking thing, you could bank on it that there'll be an original lineup fucking tour. Anyway, hey, Laura, you're going to come on with our guest today. And that's so I'll see you in a little bit.
Long Island Takeover.
That's it.
We'll see you in a bit. Speaking of Long Island, we'll see you in a bit. Are you going to drive that thing? Or are you just sitting in it?
I just like to sit in here and pretend I can drive it.
All right. Yeah.
I make engine noises.
All right. I'll talk to you later, bro. Thank you.
Loud.
Out. This is it. The one, the only, the often imitated, never duplicated. New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill. Excuse me. The Texas Silver Rush. DTFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, and Mad Vintage. Mad Vintage buys, sells, and collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band shirts. They are always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade. New shirts are the daily at www.madvintage.com and posted on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crap and reach out to them. Help me help you, Mad Vintage. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. Here we go. Minor Threat would be one. Yeah, I'd back that. But, maybe Minor Threat should just be left alone. Speaking of Minor Threat, and not to segue, but I saw Gorilla Biscuits play the other night, and Brian Baker, formerly of Minor Threat, currently of Bad Religion, got up and played the song Minor Threat with them, and the place went bonkers. That said, let's clear the deck. Let us bring our guest on. Today's guest is an American drummer, record label co-owner, and media specialist hailing from Manhasset, New York. In his very proficient musical career, he's known for his work with the bands Spotlights, Julie Christmas, On the Might of Princes, Light Tower, Total Meltdown, Orange 9mm, and many others. Please welcome, coming at us from Do or Die Bed-Stuy, Mr. Chris Enriquez.
What's up? Hell yeah. Love being
who's on your bucket list, bro?
I spent hours trying to get Oasis tickets yesterday, Drew, and
really?
And I fell asleep.
But they're coming here. They're coming to they're playing MetLife Stadium, 2 shows.
Well, thanks for telling me that. I had no idea. I was in the queue and I almost had Dublin, Ireland tickets and I fell asleep. And so I missed the boat, but my wife and I are huge fans, probably the Smiths too, so you could kind of get a sense of my vibe. I like a lot of the Brit rock stuff.
Yeah, sure. Hey, our friend Mike Gitter says he saw you crushing it with Julie Christmas 2 weeks ago.
Yes. Yeah, we ran into each other backstage at Brutal Assault Festival in in the Czech Republic.
Wow.
I love Gitter.
That's one thing I miss about, it's been a couple years since I've gone out on those, European fest shows, and it's always fun. You running into people, and also seeing bands that you would never, really go see, but you're like, oh shit, like.
It's so weird because look, like it seems strange here for a New York hardcore band to be on a bill with my band, but over there, ever since I was in On the Might of Princes, I've been on festivals with Sick of It All or Madball, and more recently, Julie Christmas was on the same festival as Hatebreed, and it seems pretty normal there to them. So I don't know, like talking to you today, I was almost kind of like thinking how interesting it is to be on a New York hardcore show and not being in many New York hardcore bands, but in Europe they let it all go.
Yeah.
And
since we're kind of here, I want to find this your upcoming, I'm looking for one of these fests. I think you're playing another one of these things. I'm looking at what you sent me. Oh, I see your is there another one? Oh, this thing. Yeah, this thing. And I know we're skipping around here, but let's just go where the wind blows us. But you got this thing coming up, and this is basically what we're talking about here.
Yeah, so La Macchia, all the way in the bottom there, that's John from Candiria.
That's right.
And Mike from Candiria, who also played in Marauder for a while. And so those guys, kind of similar to me, like came up in the scene, but sort of ended up playing different styles of music. And so we still get to do these shows, even though we're doing kind of a melodic rock thing, but it works,
Well, this is a cool fest, but this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like you get to see a cave-in acoustic set, which is probably going to be, I'd love to see that, Converge. It's like, pretty great.
Yeah, this is very.
Excuse me. This is in Brooklyn.
yeah. I mean, that's. It's amazing that they're bringing this kind of vibe to Brooklyn.
All right. I'm thinking this is in like Poland or something. It's like it's in fucking Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. All right. I'll shut up, man. I'll knock that off. So, all right. Let's get crack-a-lacking here. So how did you come up? Did you grow up in a musical household? How did music come into your life?
So Manhasset is a town that I grew up in, which is not too far from the city, and Billy Joel, when I was really young, was very big in not only the household but also in the neighborhood that I grew up in. So piano was my mother played piano, my sister played piano, my piano teacher taught Billy Joel, and that was also an artist that I heard in the house. So that was kind of my introduction to music, really. Speaking of Long Island, very Long Island.
Billy Joel?
Billy Joel was, I mean, I can remember as early as, Single Digits, hearing Piano Man and Uptown Girl and all those songs,
Growing up in Long Island, right?
It doesn't get more stereotypical than that.
It's like growing up in Jersey and like, what's the first music? Bruce Springsteen, Bon Jovi, that kind of thing. What came after that? What was the timeline? Like, when did you really start connecting with music?
I mean, it sounds funny, I guess, because I was so young, and I don't know many single-digit kids that get into heavy music as early as I did. But in Manhasset, I was very sort of surrounded by jocks, and it was really hard to fit in that time in the 80s. So aggressive music, really grabbed me, and it was very easy to find with MTV around that time. So I would say like as early as, 86, 87, when I heard Appetite for Destruction. And I was only 6 or 7, but it spoke to me. And then it wasn't too long after that I heard Metallica, and then my entire world just completely changed from there. And it's never been the same ever since.
So Metallica was a big one for you.
I would say for extreme music, for sure, because I think it was probably Master of Puppets, and then and Justice for All, which nothing was heavier than that at the time. Eventually it was Slayer and Anthrax as it goes, but all very similar at the time.
And at what point did you gravitate to a musical instrument, and why drums?
piano was my first instrument, and what a lot of people don't know is that it is considered a percussive instrument.
Right.
And I think because I started playing piano, you're using your feet and your hands at the same time and actually doing multiple things, which really happens more so with drums more than anything. And then eventually, and I don't know, something about watching bands on MTV, I guess, I'd see a Motley Crue video or a Guns N' Roses video, and for some reason that I can't explain, I could see the drummer playing and it just made sense. I could tell what they were doing enough to imitate it. When I first saw a drum set at a friend's house and sat down, I kind of knew, oh, Tommy Lee was playing a beat, and this is sort of what he was doing with his hands and his feet, and then it kind of just went from there. I was self-taught.
Let me just tour the end of the show. I'm just the Dillinger. Now, I'm just the Dillinger compound's asking if primitive weapons is done, and I just typed out. And for anybody out there, we do questions from around the world towards the end of the show. First, we try to set the table here, and then we'll get to open it up to the planet Earth towards the end. So piano just didn't do it, and drums made the most sense to you.
Yeah, I mean, it was aggression. It really was aggression. I felt like I needed to hit things because I was just feeling so being bullied every day, and I needed something to hit, and luckily my parents were okay with it. I don't know that I would be, but they tolerated it long enough for me to figure out how to get better at it, at least.
So it was you went to Nassau Community College, right?
Yes, by that point in time, I was already playing in bands and knew I wanted to pursue music, and so college wasn't really going to work for me. But
you too.
Yeah, exactly. Go figure. But now, going to community college made sense. It was, like the 13th grade, I guess.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I always say about. I went to Emerson to study acting, and I found myself in 13th grade, and all I could do was think about when the next hardcore show is, and when we're rehearsing. Let's talk about some of your first live shows. You sent me a couple things. I'm not sure what exactly came first. I have a feeling I'm going to go with this because this has like a real cool Long Island, DIY vibe to it, and that's this Avail show.
Yeah, so I couldn't find the flyer for Avail at the PWAC, the exact show I went to, but this it's the same venue, same time frame. It was Avail at the PWAC in 1994, if I'm correct, and it was with Bad Trip and Garden Variety and the Warped Weeble Wobbles. That's what I remember.
The Warped Weeble Wobbles.
Yeah, they were fun. Kind of like a Weird Al Yankovic hardcore hybrid. I guess they were like a joke band from the island. But that was the first hardcore show I saw on Long Island that a friend took me to from high school.
Yeah, and how did like this hardcore stuff kind of come across your radar screen? Was it just what young kids were doing?
It was not very. Manhasset didn't have a lot of hardcore punk rock. To be honest with you, there was an older kid named Monty who knew a bunch of the guys in Clockwise, and consequently, through that, you can kind of connect to like Silent Majority and that whole scene in Lindenhurst that was going on, and that was their venue, the PWAC, and so he brought me there, knowing that I was into grunge music, and once I saw that there was a life outside of my little town, it really just opened up doors for me, and it was fascinating enough for me to still be obsessed with it today.
And here's another one. Was the Fillmore? Was this Irving Plaza? Did they call Irving Plaza the Fillmore for a minute? Is that what this is?
They did, but this is another one where I couldn't find the flyer for the right venue. It was actually Roseland that I saw this tour. Same year, same lineup. Definitely sick of it all opening for Helmet. I'm not sure if today is the day was on that Roseland show, but when I was, it was right around the same time, to be honest with you. Like it might have been 95,
sure.
But I saw Helmet. I knew who they were. I was a huge fan, and I didn't know who Sick of It All was. And so, you know, seeing Sick of It All on the Scratch the Surface tour, and walking into a show like that in New York City at that time for you know, a kid that was 14, that was next level from what I experienced on Long Island. I mean, it was wild. Yeah. Renee Mata brought me to that show. Who I have to shout out. Yeah.
Renee brought you to this show or the Helmet show?
To the Helmet show, because he was in a band with Richie from Sick of It All, like
right
on the same time. Yeah.
Shout out to our friend Renee Mata. And you sent me this as well. So H2O, CBGB.
Yeah, so I'm actually in the video for Family Tree, and it's probably the first time I started. It might have been the first show I went to without supervision, like of a elder of some sort. So like, you know, like this is me at 14 or 15 now coming to the city by myself. And I went to H2O Family Tree video shoot that was with Crown of Thorns and maybe Floor Punch, and I think Inside. That was a crazy lineup.
Hey, there he is. What's up?
Oh, Renee? There he is. What's up, man?
Nice.
Thanks for ruining my life.
there you go. Thanks for ruining this kid's life, Renee. Very nice to see you, Renee. I hope you're well. One last show that you sent me as being one of your early shows, which I think, you know, really says a lot. This is an infamous show. This is Guns N' Roses at the Nassau Coliseum. Mm-hmm. And although I wasn't at this show, I saw a lot of Guns N' Roses shows before this, but isn't this the show where they like left people standing in the Coliseum until like 1 a.m. or something?
Yes, this is before I started going to hardcore shows. This was my first like proper rock show, and my dad was able to get us tickets, so I went with my parents. I don't know why they were willing to do this, but I'm thankful for it. Yeah, Skid Row played first. They were incredible. I might have been 10 or 11 years old, and then Guns N' Roses didn't take the stage for at least 2.5 to 3 hours, and Axl was rumored to have still been in a helicopter flying to the gig. I don't know if that was, you know, just sort of myth or whatever, but yeah, I remember everybody was really angry, and you had like a whole arena of people just like almost ready to riot. And when he finally got there, they just tore the place up, you know, no pun intended, but it was an exciting show to be at. And
this was sort of towards the end of the Izzy Stradlin run, because I think he had enough of the bullshit. Izzy copped out. I saw the last show at Izzy Stradlin at the Ritz here, which was like a promotional show for Use Your Illusion. And after that, he's like, I'm out of here, man.
Oh, man. I mean, that was also right before Use Your Illusion. So, you know, a lot of those songs they played, we didn't even know November Rain or Estranged. And, you know, we were used to Appetite. So it was like, what's up with the piano and the singers on the side of the stage? It was very bizarre.
Hey, as a drummer, I always felt with Guns N' Roses, like Steven Adler put a lot of pop in that band, man. I really felt that, like, he to me, like Steven Adler, Topper Headon, like there's a couple of drummers that just made a band go from really great to, and I always felt like that Steven Adler really made Appetite. Your thoughts?
I mean, he was probably one of the biggest reasons I ended up learning how to play drums. And I attribute it to how catchy his parts were. And, you know, a song like Mr. Brownstone for a drummer wasn't too hard to wrap your head around. And Paradise City, I mean, those are really great songs.
Yeah. So that's drumsticks in your hand at what, 3-4 years old?
Something like that. That's a drum set, as you can see, and I somehow had some interest at that point already. It's interesting. That was before I was getting bullied, so I guess that's not really the reason I needed to hit things. I don't know why, but drums meant something to me very early on.
I like that drum set. Like it was that Christmas gift drum set with like the little bass drum and the little snare that's attached to it. You know?
Yeah, it looks like there's American like colors on the bass drum or something.
Yeah. Let me see what, So Here's another one. Getting a little older here.
What's up, Hoya? Hoya's in the house.
Hey, there he is. Spoken Word Podcast. Hoya Rock. Hope you're well, brother. Yeah, you got a lot of attitude here. I guess this is high school, huh?
I was a pissed off kid. I really was. Yeah, I just didn't have any. I didn't have like a crew. I was like I was kind of alone and pissed off, and it wasn't until I found hardcore that I kind of found people, a tribe or whatever. But like at this point, I was probably still just like a pissed off, like depressed kid.
Yeah. Well, music's the tie that binds us together, and it's the community and the culture that, really for me, for you, for a lot of other people, it changed our lives.
Yeah, I mean, and I always had a love for New York City specifically because I was brought there so much that I would see things and I knew that I wanted to be there and that there was a place to go to. So, that's where a lot of my pride comes from.
Is that what's up, cuz? Hey, cuz, is this true? Did you get into a little scrap on the Fire Island ferry? I got to hear that. I got to call you and hear that story. Who could you be griping with on the Fire Island ferry? There are a bunch of kids running the fucking thing.
He was my first, it's funny seeing this. Cuz was my first friend as an adult that I made in the scene when I moved to
is that right?
The city, and right below him, this is an interesting one. The first punk rock person that I ever saw in my life in real life was Ryan Bland, as in like not on a TV show. Wow. It was him in front of Trash and Vaudeville with the mohawk and the spikes, and I was probably in my parents' car just passing through, and I'll never forget that.
Yeah, absolutely. Cuz I'm gonna call you tomorrow or whatever. I want to hear the story. Beefing on the ferry. That said, so we're kind of setting the table here. What was the first band? What was it? Was it the Might of Princes, or was that really the first kind of real thing?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to spend too much time with limited time on like all the early stuff, but the long story short was like I ended up playing in a band with some high school friends called Fall with Grace, and we got eventually that was Renee's brother, who was my other person. His name was Conrad. He actually got me into Orange 9 and Quicksand and played.
Renee's brother was in this band?
Yeah, so that's my connection to Renee. He had a little brother. He was my best friend.
So you and Renee, you guys all grew up together.
Filipino kids on Long Island, basically, that like rock music.
Filipino kids on Long Island represent.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, like no one was tougher than him when it came to like guys that weren't going to back down when someone was messing with you. So he was like kind of our protector, and then his brother was the kid that like not only played in a band with me, but would show me stuff like Orange 9 and a lot of the post-hardcore stuff like Quicksand. That's how I found out about that music. And we played hardcore shows, even though we weren't in a hardcore band. So with this band Fall with Grace sort of kind of bridged me into the scene. And eventually On the Might of Princes was a band that I saw and joined because I was there was a drummer before me on the first record, and that might have been in 1997 or 1998. And then eventually I joined somewhere between 98 and 99. And that's my first foray into touring, getting signed, and sort of where I'm at today.
And I do love this flyer at the Ethical Humanist Center take the Southern State to the Meadowbrook. Where was this?
This was
Garden City?
Yeah.
And I do love On the Might of Princes underneath it. I'm going to have to use this. Your reason to get there early! ! I love that, bro.
Yes.
That's your fucking reason to get there early. If you need a reason, this is it.
I think that our generation might have been the last one that was really dependent on flyers and not the internet, because that happened sort of like a few years into the band.
Yeah. The flyer thing's interesting. I've done 2 books of like flyer books, the 80s and the 90s, and people say, oh, you got to do one, from the 2000s, and I'm like, it's kind of flyers, once the computers and MySpace and all that, the flyers weren't as, incredibly creative as they once were.
Sure. Yeah. And not as valuable, I guess, because like if you happen to have a Minor Threat flyer sitting around, that's like a piece of art sitting in your living room,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's this one? Kill Your Idol. Oh, this is 2000.
Yeah. I mean,
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati. This was in Cincinnati. I mean, like, speaking of diverse lineups during that time, there was a lot of diverse lineups. I mean, I remember playing a lot with hardcore bands, even though we were a bit on the melodic. Sure. I mean, we were heavy, but we weren't tough.
Yeah. What would you say? I'm just kind of going through some of these flyers, and I just love it harkens back to sort of the Long Island hardcore scene, the AMF Comac Vets lanes.
Yeah, we were very reliant on bowling alleys and Knights of Columbus and VFW halls. That was sort of the age of that, because we were in the suburbs.
I like this. The Super Bowl of hardcore. I love it. There's been a lot of Super Bowls of hardcore. I didn't know that there was a Super Bowl of hardcore out in Long Island. But I think for a couple of years there, the name was sort of floating out there before Cuz kind of pulled it back in, but and renamed it the Black and Blue Bowl. But yeah, this is actually a pretty cool flyer. What's a football? Right. What's a football? The nun with her boobs hanging out.
Incredible,
right?
Incredible.
Yeah. Didn't AFI play at Comac Bowl? I think they did, actually.
They probably. I saw AFI.
I think I actually know that they did. Yeah.
Definitely saw a lot of bands that went on to be pretty huge, play tiny places on the island at that time.
Yeah. Now, how does On the Might of Princes, how does that hand? Wait, last one here. Last one. Good one.
Yeah.
This is a CBGB flyer, and you got to play you made it to sort of you made it to the promised land and played CBGBs, huh?
We played a lot, and we played at CB's quite a bit from the late 90s into the early 2000s, and the band actually did audition night on a Monday, which was sort of tradition from the beginning, I guess, that they kept it up into that time period, and that's how we started getting gigs there. Eventually, we had friends like Rich Hall and people like that would bring us over there. But yeah, definitely played CB's more than a few times.
I don't know if anybody's ever kind of tackled this, but it seems to me like there's an inherent, and I know maybe it's a little niche, but there's a book or a doc or a history of sort of Long Island hardcore, that sort of. It was a very vibrant sort of hotbed of musical activity, and I'm not talking about the obvious stuff. I mean, I'm not talking about the Stray Cats and Billy Joel. I'm talking about like the PWAC and all that. Pretty cool.
It was wild, yeah. I mean, there was all the New York City bands played there too. I've seen everybody from Madball to Sick of It All play in that room, but it was also kind of like a very unique sound as well that came out of the island,
So let's play out the hand with On the Might of Princes. Why did it end? And then you brought it back, and it felt a little different. It was a little bit different. Let's do the whole timeline of this band here.
Yeah, absolutely. So the band actually did quite a bit in the time frame that it was around for its initial run. It was 97 to 2004, 3 full lengths and a demo. And by the time we were at the tail end, we got signed to Revelation Records and put out a full length, and did our final tour was in Europe. And to be quite honest with you, I mean, I was 23 or 24 when we broke up, so I was young. Wow. And a lot of bands around that time, Drew, were blowing up around us that I don't think anybody sort of like had the foresight to kind of even predict. Like, it was a strange time for the scene that we were in. Like, this is the time when majors were starting to kind of pick up bands like Thursday and Taking Back Sunday and Coheed and Cambria, and we were kind of like in the middle of all that. And I think part of it was that some of us, you know, I'll be the first to say, like, I definitely wanted to sort of take a trip into maybe what that corporate world might have looked like, and then a lot of the other members weren't really feeling that. And then once you sort of take into account that there was some of us that weren't as well off as others, and then you know, drug problems and alcohol and all that, there was just a lot of fighting, and then we broke up.
It's called being in a band as a young person.
Exactly.
It's an interesting dynamic, you know. It's like everyone gets put in a sifter, like sand at the beach, you know. And like some people just, you know, it's interesting. I'm a little bit older. I find it interesting, you know, who sort of has run the long race. You know, there's people who I thought were going to be absolute superstars who burned out very quickly. There are people who I thought weren't going to last till the end of the week, and they're still in the music business. So it's really interesting who sort of has the gumption, you know, the personality to make them. And then of course there's also the reality of you're a young person. You know, when you start a band as a young person, it's fun for a couple of years, but then it turns into, what am I doing with my life?
Absolutely.
You know, am I going to college? Am I starting a family? Do I got to take over my dad's business? You know, and all that.
True. Yeah, I mean, honestly, too, like when labels like that are starting to infiltrate, it's usually on younger people too. And you know, we never got the calls. Actually, that's not true. Right around that time, it was, you know, the main labels that were coming after us were Victory. Rev was not really considered as big as Victory at the time, and
this is on the Mighty Princes.
Before
you went with Rev.
Before we went with Rev, and that's an interesting story that I should tell, because there was a label that was part of MCA Records called Drive Through Records that had like Newfound Glory and bands like that, and we were very close to signing to a subsidiary of a major. And you know, when we started out, we wanted to be like more in that Fugazi kind of mindset. And once you start to see the temptations of what it could look like on the other side, it can either work out really well or it could divide the band. And I think for us, it really divided the band.
Sure.
Yeah.
I learned, I just, in my world, I learned a lot when, you know, in the early 90s when I was working with Biohazard, and I was there, well, on their sort of, on that meteor, that ride. And I learned so much about how things work and the business, and learned a lot about, you know, well, they signed to Warner Brothers, and I also, from managing bands, from managing Marauder and Sub-Zero and Fury of 5, I got to say, I learned about what not to do. You know, some of the pitfalls. You know.
You know, shout out to, you know, who looked over a contract was Dave Stein, R.I.P. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, you know, we the long story of it is we broke up, we got back together for reunions. And of course, like, it always works out this way. You end up finding out that your band is more popular during the reunion than you ever realized. So was this the Rev reunion? Is this one? Yeah. I mean, it was crazy because we got back together, played Irving Plaza, and then we did a headline gig, sold out at Vitus. And that ended up being our last show ever because our singer passed away a year later. He had a heart attack and at like 33. Yeah, so, you know,
is this from that era right here?
Let's see.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on, I locked up. Here you go.
That was the last show we ever played with this lineup at St. Vitus. That's the last time we were, you know, yeah, that's the last show.
And that's Jason, right?
Yes, that's Jason Rosenthal, who was our singer and primary songwriter, and he was, you know, very talented, very creative, and you know, we're very lucky that we got to play music with him.
Sad he passed away. He was a young man.
He was a young man, and just honestly, like, as real as it gets. I mean, he didn't really get to reach the heights of what I think someone of his talent should have, but he was very there's a movie that we made about the band, if anyone's interested in watching. It's on
the documentary.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So that was sort of like that was like 1.5, and then you actually sort of reconfigured again. You reconfigured the band again after that, correct?
Yeah, 20 years later.
Yeah.
20 years later from the initial original run of the band. So this is our friend Rachel, who sings.
Who was in the chat room before? I don't know if she still is, but I saw.
Yeah. Rachel's awesome. She played in a number of bands back in the day that we played with, and right now she's in a band called Open City with a bunch of the guys from like Kid Dynamite and Painted Black and Lifetime. They're called Open City. So she's like a very talented singer, and we just felt like she was an appropriate choice, and our records were selling more 20 years later than they were 20 years ago.
There she is. Hey, Rachel. Thank you for tuning in. And it's interesting, and I can relate because that happened when we got back together with Antidote. All of a sudden, like, who are all these kids? How come they weren't around the first time we did this?
No, I know.
It's like when we were killing each other over scraps.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's Amityville Music Hall last year. I think every 20 years, Drew, like you probably agree, like things that were popular 20 years ago, they come around again in this weird recycled kind of way. And I could have never predicted that for what we were doing, because I just never thought about it as music that could be popular. So we didn't want to waste an opportunity, and this is the only way we could do it. And she's really captured the spirit, I think, in the best way possible.
Vincent's asking, where can he see the documentary?
Yeah, hey Vincent, thanks for asking. It's called Hold On to a Time, and it's on YouTube. It's free. Anybody can watch it. So if you just search that in the search engine, you should be able to find it.
Cool. Yeah, right on. Listen, we've said it many times. Art is cyclical in nature. The wave goes in and the wave goes out. It's sometimes the wave comes in a little harder. Sometimes it comes in a little light, but it goes around and round, and it's interesting. Things come around, the next thing you know, like, holy shit, New York hardcore is happening again.
Yeah.
Or whatever,
Exactly. I think hardcore is bigger today than it's ever been, which is insane.
And it's interesting because, and listen, I think it's great, but it's bigger than it ever was. But some people are like, we're a hardcore band, and I'm like, really? Like,
yeah, I mean,
that's not hardcore the way that but what do I know? I'm a dinosaur,
Yeah,
I'm Stegosaurus,
I'll stop, Drew. But by the way, that's not true. You have always supported bands of all genres and all ages, and that's why I'm so appreciative that I'm on your show, because I watch it and I've always been a fan of what you do. But yeah.
But
no, what was I going to say though? I was going to say really quick
about art being cyclical and coming back.
Art being cyclical and coming back, I think I love hardcore, but I prefer the word punk because it's just a little bit more broad. I mean, like I said, like Fugazi to me, it doesn't sound like the Sex Pistols, but we all know where they came from, and that was the most influential thing for me musically, and where everything I've sort of branched off to do really started was with Fugazi.
Yeah. Interesting, and it took me a while to sort of get a grip on that band, but
I'm sure.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's tough when you've seen Minor Threat and all that stuff.
That's what it was. Having been there in the very beginning, I'm like, when I reference myself, I say I'm like a first wave American hardcore guy, dude. I was there in the beginning. I saw Minor Threat and the Bad Brains in 1981, and the Misfits in 82, all that, Dead Kennedys. And so a lot of the stuff that came after seemed a little bit to me like, hey, I kind of you know,
Yeah,
why would I like Youth of Today? I was there for Minor Threat, but through the age, through time and a little maturity, my perspective has totally changed. You know,
I feel the same way about a lot of different styles of music.
Yeah,
it's all perception and time.
but I think this segues into kind of what we're going to get into next is me doing what I do, you doing what you do, which we're kind of leaning into. You know, you working with Revolver and Brooklyn Vegan. I think one joy that has been established in my life in doing this show is I've been exposed to so many different people and so much music I would never have listened to. Right? Yeah. It's like, who's on the show next week? Oh fuck, I got to listen to their catalog. And then I listen to it. I'm like, fuck, man, this is great. You know, like this is really great. And
I wish I could remember. There was a band that you said that about that was a guest, and you were very honest in saying, like, I didn't listen to this before, but this is great. And it might have been when Drew Thomas was on, and his band with Walter, the
that's right,
walking concert.
That's right.
Something like that.
Was it Dead Heavens? What was that?
Dead Heavens.
You hit it on the head.
Yeah.
I never listened to them. I listened to them and I was like, I kept going back to it. Even when he was off the show, I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, great stuff.
So that happened. So we mentioned that you studied communication at Nassau Community College. You know, where were you heading with that? And like, how did you end up, doing this stuff at Revolver Magazine and Alternative Press and all that? Because that's sort of like a parallel, path from a musician that you went down, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And I you know what it was, Drew? Like, I'm such a nerd about musicians. It was beyond just wanting to hear an album. I wanted to read about them, and that meant the books, the documentaries, even watching those documentaries and learning about the culture and not just the artist. I have like a very large interest in all that stuff. So I wanted to be a journalist. I got a couple things along the line, like CMJ allowed me to do some reviews, which of course is like a New York centric publication in the 90s. So there was just a lot of things in New York that lent itself to what I was trying to do. And at some point, I guess I found out there was a job opening at Revolver. It wasn't in the editorial department. It was like a little bit more on the business end, which is, advertising, sales, marketing. And then, which is what I still do now. But through that, I was able to find a couple opportunities to do some podcast hosting and things of that nature along the past few years.
When you got on board with Revolver, were they still primarily a hard print magazine?
Yeah, still is. We don't have a lot of competition in the United States when it comes to that. It's really a lot of, again, European magazines these days that are doing what we do. So it's kind of us and like, I don't even know, like maybe like a couple other ones, Decibel, I think. And
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Look, they're coming out of the woodwork for you. Alan Robert from Life Agony and Spoiler, yes. and our old friend Mike MacGyver as well.
Hell yeah.
Hope you're well, Mike. Nice to see you, buddy.
I love Life Agony. What's up, Alan? My friend Veronica ended up from high school, actually ended up in Life of Agony.
You went to school with Veronica?
We knew each other in high school when we were still figuring out how to be in bands. We used to play at Teen Sensors together.
I gotta say, I gotta give Veronica some props. Not only you say, oh, well, she's like a great, she's like a, best like female drummer I've seen, or, best, girl drummer. Fuck that. She's like one of the best drummers. She's nasty. She's nasty.
And she knows how to put on a show.
Yeah.
Beyond playing, Yeah, she's great.
She's a fantastic drummer and a very, very, very nice person. So I do remember this happening, and I guess this is just something that Revolver does and looks like a hell of a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, the old Ritz. So I put together. I was part of a few award shows as a person behind the scenes, and then I did the first Revolver Awards in New York where I was sort of producing and curating and doing the whole thing top to bottom. And that was, it's an expensive thing to do, which is why it hasn't happened since. But I mean, I don't know if we're going to bring it back, but that was a insane night. That's all I'm going to say. It was an insane night.
Is
for all the good reasons and the bad reasons.
Well, I'm not sure if this is that night, but I'm not sure if this is a good reason or a bad reason.
Oh, hey, that's actually a couple months ago.
Oh, is it? Yeah, I guess so, because John's in the band, right?
Yeah, so Motley Crue was supposed to play at St. Vitus, and then it was shut down, and then it ended up happening at Bowery Ballroom.
Oh, I remember that. Right.
Yeah, I was able to find my way in. You know, it's funny, I should say, anyone here that goes to Bowery Ballroom, Tommy Lee took the C on coat check and made it into a G, so it says goat check, and it still says that today.
Yeah, there you go. Listen, Nikki Sixx has a special place in my heart. He's a great guy. In the interactions I had with him when I was out in California, I almost did a video for when he had a band called Brides of Destruction with Tracy Guns, another friend, and Nikki Sixx was always very, very kind to me. Good guy.
He was really nice. They were all nice. I met him a few times.
Yeah, I like this one here. This looks like it could be stressful.
You know, I got to tell you, Drew, I've had stressful moments. He was really nice to me.
Yeah.
Every single one of those guys was always nice to me. And I was really terrified when I sat to talk to him. You know what I think he appreciated, which I'm sure you can relate to, is the questions I asked him were very I asked a lot of questions about things I didn't think he expected me to talk about. Like we talked about Elvis and his love of Johnny Cash, and I didn't really do he didn't reunite with the Misfits at that point, so I didn't even ask him.
Right? Yeah. Listen, I've known him a long time. Here's a shot. Just throw this in the mix. When we did the Michael Alago premiere in Hollywood, all of a sudden he came walking through the door.
Oh, my Lord.
It was a quick funny story. It was one of these theaters in Hollywood where or anywhere where you walk into the theater and you're like in front of the screen, so everyone in the theater sees you walking in, and the whole place is filled. We're ready to go, and all of a sudden Glenn comes and the whole place went silent.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of a methodical person, but that, by the way, great film. I love that film that you made about Michael Alago.
Thank you.
It's great. And Glenn doesn't usually take photos, so I was surprised that he was even cool with that happening.
Yeah. And here's you and Mike, right?
Mike Muir, I interviewed a few times. He was always a sweetheart. I just saw Suicidal a couple of weeks ago as well at a Hellfest. Julie Christmas was on the same bill, and my buddy Ben is playing guitar in the band.
Yeah, they're holding it down, and
absolutely.
I'm just going through some of these because these are great shots, and it's a testament. It's just a testament to the good work you did over there. Here's King, right? I think we talked about King before. I think King is playing Brooklyn again, right? Yeah,
he is. I missed that Merciful Fate one. This might have been either in New York City or Long Island. No, you know what? This is Jersey. I think Mayhem Festival, it's so funny because he looks the way he looks, but I remember him being extremely eloquent when we spoke. I think he said something like, "Thank you so much for all the support. I truly appreciate it."
He is the nicest guy.
He really is. Yeah.
This look. Wow, this is one of my favorites. All right, out of all those pictures of Revolver, I just think the look on your face in this picture just speaks volumes, man.
Oh God. Electric Lady Studios, I believe, is where we were. And he had a new record out, and we were all there to listen to it. And he actually made an appearance and did a little meet and greet with everybody. Also, a really nice guy. I met him a few times.
That's the dude, right? I mean,
talk
about a guitar player that launched a million careers.
Yeah, and New York too. I mean, that makes it even more special for all of us, right?
in the Yeah, and here's I'm just kind of banging through these because these are all. This is like a great show and tell. But you and Daryl from the Bad Brains, right?
Oh gosh. This one. Okay, yeah. This was when the Bad Brains played a tiny show in Williamsburg in like almost like a loft
in the
space.
art gallery in that place.
Yeah.
Is that with Randy was singing? Who was singing that night?
Randy from Lamb of God sang most of the set, and HR came out and did a couple of the reggae jams.
I think that's almost like literally the last time they ever played in any sort of. I think because Doc had his stroke after that. I think you're right, actually, because it was not too long after that they did a similar show at a festival, and then I don't think it happened ever again. In that way with everybody. Yeah. I was there, and I couldn't get in.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, because there was fucking 50 people in the room.
It was a brief time, I think, that with I don't want to be misquoted, but like a certain company that I knew at the time was managing Bad Brains, and I think it was very short-lived, and that's how I got in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God.
Did Dave? I mean, this is another challenging interview. Oh yeah, I think I was with you, Lou. Right? Didn't we walk over there? We couldn't get in. We got there late. Is this did was it Vic and the Rattleheads? Did they play St. Vitus?
I booked Megadeth at St. Vitus as part of a deal to get them to play at Webster Hall at the award show. So there was an agreement that I made that involved promoting their new beer at the time, which I don't know if it's still around, and having Megadeth do like a sort of like a pre-party where the main focus would be promoting the beer. And so Dave actually bartended. I interviewed him on stage a couple of days before that happened. Then they played, and he actually bartended for about an hour.
And this is the show, right?
That is the show. Yeah, that was a crazy night.
That's a cool billing. Here, trivia question for all you out there: when Iron Maiden played L'Amour, what were they billed as?
Oh wow!
Yeah, hold on. Give it 15 seconds, bro. And give it 15 seconds.
What a show that must have been
at L'Amour's. Yeah,
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Now I'm using this as a segue. Hold on. I'm digging out all the St. Vitus because I want to ask you about St. Vitus, which is really sort of led recently had a really kind of sad, untimely demise.
Terrible. Yeah.
Here we go. Was it John LaMaggia, brother? What's up? Yeah. All right, Alan got it. It was Charlotte and the Harlots, Charlotte and the Harlots, Charlotte and the Harlots.
Wow.
No, it wasn't Prowler. It was Charlotte. Yes, John and Jelly, Charlotte and the Harlots.
You got a lot of people knew the answer to that.
Yeah, listen, you know what it is? Our L'Amour game is strong on this show, bro. It is. Our L'Amour game is very strong on the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live.
St. Vitus was definitely my CBGB and my L'Amour.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So just like, being that we're around the world here, and like Rich says, Rich Zola says, horrible loss. And here is a St. Vitus shot for when Megadeth plays. What was your involvement? How did it go? And as much as you could let us know, what happened there? Why were they shut down for good, which seems incredibly unfair?
Yeah, I mean, look, off the record, I mean, look, I'm not a partner over there, so I'm going to say what I can within reason. But my involvement there was really just that I was in a band with all of the owners called Primitive Weapons, and when we started the band, that was exactly at the same time that my bandmates decided they wanted to open up a club in New York. So the two things happened side by side. We would practice, and then they would go to the location, 1120 Manhattan Avenue, that would shortly then after become St. Vitus. And so I was the only one. It's funny too, because I was the only one that wasn't really involved, because I didn't see Greenpoint being like the Bowery. I didn't really foresee.
Right.
I'm like, how are you going to turn that into like the Bowery? And then, of course, I was wrong because now look at it. But I mean, the Bowery's the Bowery. I'm not going to say it's the same, but you know what I mean. It became a hotbed. So, yeah, I mean, look, you know, in respect to their privacy, I mean, one thing that's not private is obviously it was shut down. I think it was a Mind Force show. I wasn't there, and most people know that it was a guy that was kicked out of the bar several times for you know, bringing in open container, you know, falling asleep in the bar, getting basically not following very simple rules, you know, that would get you kicked out of any bar. And this guy happened to also be a white supremacist, which we later on discovered, unfortunately, and you know, called the Department of Buildings under different names for you know, many years. I don't know who has time for that, but apparently he did, and it worked, and he was able to find a way to get the place shut down, and that's what happened. But you know, I know that my friends are working hard to find out how they can kind of come back in some shape or form, and they're very resilient. So you know, I don't think it's the end. It might be the beginning of something even greater. So we'll see.
Well, if there's one thing we learned about when it comes to music and the ebb and flow, one door closes and another opens. You know, it's like the drug trade. You know, it's supply and demand. You know, people, you know, as soon as you say, "Oh, this club's gone," that's club. In my experience, next thing you know, on a real grassroots DIY level, kids are doing like basement shows, and then you know, things start percolating from there, and you know, that's kind of one of the great things about it. Let me ask you about a couple things, a couple of the St. Vitus shots that you sent me. I'm looking for like this whole. Well, we did the Megadeth thing. Oh, here it goes. This seemed like an incredible coup here. Nirvana.
Yeah, that's a picture I took.
Is that Jay playing guitar with Nirvana?
It's Jay Mascis playing guitar and singing for Nirvana. So basically, I don't know if you had a specific question, but go ahead.
No, I was just wondering what the background was of this.
The backstory to that was, so the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame took place at Barclays, and Nirvana was inducted, and they had a bunch of different singers on stage that night. It was Joan Jett, Kim Gordon from Sonic Youth, and St. Vincent and Lord. So I got home after that, and a friend of mine basically had clued us in that there was a secret Nirvana show after party at St. Vitus. And immediately, you know, my roommate and I got into a vehicle and made our way down. And to make a long story short, you know, I saw everybody outside, you know, Pat Smear, Kim Gordon, all sorts of characters. And the vibe was basically like kind of like everyone was in tuxedos and very corporate, you know, because they were at a big event. So I tried to get in using my cred with the Vitus crew, but you know, I'll never forget the day this happened. Dave Castillo looked at me and said, when Nirvana says you can't come to the party, you can't come to the party. So I stuck around long enough to find out that the band needed food. They needed catering, and there was nothing because the show started at 1 o'clock in the morning. It went on until maybe 4 or 5 a.m. Wow. And so I jumped in a vehicle with a couple of my buddies. What's up, Corey? You know, I got to give him a shout out because he paid for the pizza that we got.
I was wondering what the pizza in the lock was. I was wondering what that was.
We actually like saw a guy closing up a pizza shop. He might have been like 89 years old. He was like,
oh, this is great.
We went up to him, and I think he thought we were going to rob him because we were kind of aggressive. We were like, hey, what's up, man? And I'm like, no, we're not here to rob you. We just need a favor. And we paid him a couple $100 to go back in the pizzeria. He was holding a tub of marinara sauce going down into the gate of the sidewalk. And we paid him a couple $100 to go back in, open up, and make us a couple pies. and we told them we had some celebrities down the street that we needed to feed. And that's how we were able to make our way in and convince the security guards of Dave Grohl and company to allow us into the club.
Wow.
Courtney Love was there, and you know, Fred Armisen. It was a crazy cast of people in there.
And is this Kim Gordon singing? Is that Pat on the left? Is that Dave Grohl playing drums?
Correct. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah.
Is this, and how does this play into it? Boom.
Oh, that was somebody wanted to make a T-shirt that never actually came into fruition because the pizza story basically became sort of like a very popular story amongst people in the Vitus community, I guess. And the face paints was a sticker that somebody made when they saw a picture of me in clown makeup. That at one point in my life, it was hard to go into a New York City bar bathroom without seeing that sticker of my face somewhere.
That's funny.
That was a mashup of the two ridiculous things that happened to me.
And I guess I sort of remember this, but Scotty and those guys played as well. Played.
Yeah, that's a picture I took. I think they did 2 days in a row, and it was a a charity event for someone that they were friends with that was in need of funds, and they just they played 2 days in a row. And the guys in Anthrax, like, they came in there for shows sometimes and would hang out, and so that I have so much respect for those guys because they really are still like guys that will show up and support and check out a show.
You know, hey, Lori Dawn, I see you. I know what's going on. Let me take a sponsor break, and let's come back. And Lori Dawn's going to do a little color commentary because we're going to talk about Julie Christmas and spotlights, and we have lots of show and tell. So we'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you.
All right, come on, let's do some sponsor stuff. Get your questions ready. Good to see a lot of our old friends coming by. Thank you so much. This is the one, the only, often imitated, never duplicated New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
There you go. This is the New York Hardcore. How much for a spot? Are you referring to a spot on this show? It just so happens the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live has room on the boat for another sponsor. Now that sadly the Organic Grill has temporarily taken a break. They had to shut down, and maybe they'll be back. But there is room on the boat. If you'd like to be a sponsor, come on board. Send me a private message. I'll tell you about how it works, but certainly reasonable, and we'd love to have you on board. I want to mention a couple of upcoming shows. Here we go. 1 week from today. Yes, 1 week from today, along with co-host Howie Abrams, Vinny Stigma will be on the show talking about his new book, The Most Interesting Man in the World. I just read it. It's great. There's going to be a week. There's going to be, you know what? Whoa. Let me back that up. How's this sound? This Friday, Philadelphia represent. I'm going to be down in Philly this Friday. I am moderating the Ray Cappo from Punk to Monk book event at Creep Records. That's this Friday. All you Philly people or down there in Jersey, get your ass to this event. That's this Friday. Then this Sunday is Vinny Stigma will be on the show. And then I'm going back and forth here. Thursday, September 12th, I am doing a book event at Rough Trade in Rockefeller Center for this book. We had him on the show already with Daniel Rachel. Great guy, great book. I will be back. There's a week and a half hiatus. And then because there's this as well, I know I'm not making a lot of sense here, but take my word for it. The next Bowery Electric Matinee, Sunday, all ages free, Sunday, September 15th. This is a banger. Scream, Rebelmatic, Butterbrain with Angelo Moore from Fishbone, the terrorists and the errorists in Lake Lanier. That's it, the banger. DJ Sid the Kid. Listen, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Come and set up in your fucking living room? Let me tell you something. Get your ass down to the show. Get your bring your booger eating kid and that fucking nagging wife or your bummy ass alcoholic boyfriend. Bring them down to the show. This is the big banger right here. Donna Destry, Max's Kansas City represent. This is going to be great. That is Wednesday, September 18th. The 22nd, Andrew from Combust will be on the show. Joey Chithead on Sunday, September 29th. Yo, speaking of Anthrax, Danny Lilker will be on the show Sunday, October 6th. Just got this one in the mail. I got Lou Morales' Brooklyn Skinhead book in the mail. Got to read that. He will be on the show October 9th talking about his book. This patrons know about this one. It is going to go public. I'm going to announce this. Roger Moret from Agnostic Front will be on the show. He has a new book coming out called With Time, the Roger Moret Archives. He will be on the book. He will be on the show. This is going to be announced as well any day now. The return of Glenn E. Friedman. He has a Babbrains book coming out, and he will be on the show. Sunday, November 3rd, Alex Kynan from Cause for Alarm and Agnostic Front. Just announced this the other day. Steve Paul Carey from Artificial Peace, Marginal Man, DC Hardcore Represent. And then it's all leading up to show number 350. 350. On fire. I'm on fire. So there you go. Show 350 with Thurston Moore of Sonic Youth. So, speaking of which, what are you laughing at?
I really like the pyrotechnics. They're really, the budget for this show is just, ooh.
Listen, man, look at this. Thurston Moore, Steve Paul Carey, Alex Kynan, Glennie Friedman, Roger Moret, Louis Morales, Danny Lilker, Joey Chithead.
We have to start a book club here, There's a lot of reading.
Listen, man, no one reads more books than fuck. You know how I read books now? Done.
Just hold them. Yeah. You got to take a speed reading course to take, to keep up with everything.
Yep. I just fucking just happens. Now I can read quick.
Yeah.
And I could read under duress.
Yes,
You know?
me too.
I can read under duress. Banger after banger. Can you believe it, Jeff? We got Scream to play one of these. I hope you can come down. John, yes, it is a cool spot. Absolutely. That said, we'll come back to some of we'll come back. Listen, Roger, come on, behave yourself. Pay attention to the show. Don't get crazy in the chat room. And you can stay. Be good. Be good. So there you go. That said, let's bring our guest back on, Chris Enriquez. Be good.
Lori, what's up?
Yeah.
What's up with you?
Oh,
I'm
you know,
enjoying the show so far. Yeah.
I'm enjoying being back home, you know, in New York after lots of traveling, and it's the last few weeks of summer. You know, can't complain.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. You've been a busy man.
Yeah. Last time I saw you, was it summer last year? Is that how long ago it was?
I think I saw you in November with Spotlights.
Oh my God. Okay. It was not summer then. It was last
Yes.
winter.
Yes.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
Let me address this, Mike MacGyver. Do you know if Stigma's book will be on audio? It will be an audio book too. I want to hear him read it. Listen, you better believe that Vinny Stigma's book is going to be an audio with him reading it. I just saw a picture of him recording it the other day. So yes, the answer is Stigma. You do want to hear the Stigma in Stigma's voice. That's sort of like, you know, that's a given.
Absolutely.
That's a given. So let's talk about two of the big bangers here, and that's Julie Christmas and Spotlights. Chris, what came first? How did it came to be? Give us a little bit of the history.
All right. So this is a funny story, and I was gonna not play. I didn't want to pursue bands anymore at a certain point because I just kind of didn't really see a future in it for me anymore. And I found out about this band Spotlights that moved to New York from California. And I loved what I had heard. I saw them at St. Vitus. They had a different drummer at the time. Kind of doomy metal mixed with some like, you know, My Bloody Valentine kind of stuff. That was at least sort of like, you know, what I felt when I saw it. That made me
that's fair enough. Yeah. That's fair enough.
Yeah. And then Lori, thank you. I didn't know Lori was into the band, and then we had her on the guest list, and we had a great time talking music after the show, and we had a lot in common about the stuff we were into. So check this out. I got a phone call from them after I met them, and they wanted me to tour with them, but they wouldn't tell me the details of who the band was. So I actually told them I wasn't interested.
Excuse me. How does that work? Do you know who the phone call's coming from? Isn't it sort of self-explanatory?
It was very bizarre. They got an email that they thought was spam from a agency called UTA, United Talent Agency, and which is a huge booking agency. And it was an agent that said a very big American band in the metal scene would like to invite you to go on tour with them, but we can't say who it is. Are you available for 3 weeks in August? And they gave the dates. So they almost deleted it, or they almost also like responded to be like, yeah, sure, we're free. Actually, that's what they did, and that band ended up being the Deftones. So when they asked me to do the tour, I actually said, I love your band, but I can't do it because I'm not really interested in like being in a band that goes and tours and does stuff at this point. And I'm kind of over it. And then they said, all right, well, we can't tell you, we're not supposed to tell you who it is, but if you could keep a secret, it's the Deftones. And I literally, you know, total sellout move. I immediately went back on my word and I was like, yeah, actually I could do that. Let me get the dates and just let my boss know. And so that's my first show was opening for the Deftones.
And so this is this that sort of run right here?
Yeah, it was 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, 2.5, 3 weeks in August. And they had a drummer that could do the first week, so I joined on the second week, and I was still just a hired gun, but that was my first show, was Stone Pony at Asbury Park with Deftones and Refused.
And here's another shot from that tour. So you're thrown into this.
Yeah. Well, actually, that was a couple months ago at Hellfest, but we did have a show that probably didn't look too different from that, which was the first show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like 7,000 people at my first show or something.
So you were probably picturing like tour, like these little tiny crappy venues, and
yeah, like at least play a club first. Didn't get that opportunity to warm up.
in a situation like that, when you get a call like that, do you, being the pro you are, is it, this is the set list, this is the catalog, learn this stuff, and this is the first show, and you're just kind of counting on to be like the sort of the utmost professional?
I mean, that's basically, ever since I joined that band, that's basically been the deal up until like Orange 9 is like, I have the songs, I have to listen to them, I got to practice them on my own. I get together a few times with the band, and then at this point, I hadn't played with the band in a few weeks because they already started the tour without me. So I had to just show up to the Stone Pony and just pray to God that I wasn't going to blow it.
Right.
So I just I realize how lucky I am too. So that's why I'm able to not screw up.
Spotlights is like is basically a 3-piece, right?
Yeah, it's a married couple and myself.
So you're stepping into this dynamic. Was it challenging?
At first, I think a lot of people felt like, how could you just like be in a band with a married couple and tour around like that? It's got to be awkward. But quite frankly, I had been with just like a bunch of guys in a van for so long, fighting about stupid shit. So really the sort of like the egocentric male, whatever you want to call it, it was kind of cool not to have that. And which is fine. I'm not, trying to sound too PC, but it was refreshing. And that's sort of how I think I was able to do it again, because it wasn't dealing with like 5 guys fighting about, whatever bullshit we fight about.
Well, absolutely. And also coming in a situation that, in a professional situation like that, it's like you're counting on to come in and do your part and, and be that guy, like you're like that Roy Moyerga guy, you're coming in, this is what I'm doing, I'm a pro, and, that's that.
I definitely look up to Roy. Yeah. I mean,
And then, so I assume it went well because, man, you went out and kept playing, right?
Well, Drew, actually, so this was announced, and then the pandemic happened.
Oh,
yeah. So I put that in there because it was something that was relevant to our story as a band. But our first arena tour, because that Deftones tour was like a theater tour, this was going to be our first arena tour, and then it got canceled. But this is what led to the Bungle shows, because Faith No More, has not gotten back together since then, and Mike Patton ended up taking us out with Bungle on at least 2 or 3 tours after that.
Yeah.
And now, when you first started with Spotlights, you were just touring with them. You weren't recording, were you?
Yeah, I was just a hired gun. That's correct. And I kind of I love playing live because I like connecting with people. And so I was more than happy to do that. And I think because of that, that's why, I've gotten a lot of calls like, Orange 9 or Burn, whoever it is, like, if you want me to play your awesome songs live, it's not going to be hard to twist my arm,
Right. And were you on Love and Decay, or was the latest your first with them?
That was my first. Love and Decay was my first record in the band, and then the last one I ended up playing that one. Yeah.
Any perspective on the recording process of this?
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of interesting. It's such an easy band to be in when it comes to this, Drew, because my singer Mario writes everything and records it before we even hear it. So,
I like that.
So he sends us like finished albums.
I like that.
Usually some kind of like programmed drum beats. So that at that point, all I have to do is sort of make them my own, and then it becomes sort of like a fun process of throwing darts at the wall and hoping that they land for everybody, and then that's how. And we record ourselves too. We don't use producers or
Is that right?
engineers. They're all mostly done in a rehearsal space or somebody's house.
Wow.
Yeah,
but I've been listening to those 2 records. It's like I didn't think that was like. Well, then again, in this day and age, right? It's like, they sounded like they were in like a big studio. But
yeah, because the sounds are so layered, which kind of brings me to my next question. I saw a little, documentary on the making of Alchemy for the Dead, this album here, and they had you. I hope I understood this. They had you record the drums in 2 separate parts. Like they had you record the drums and then the cymbals separate.
That's correct.
So, like, what do you take all the? How is that even? Like, how can you even keep the time?
It was weird. I had done rock records the same way everyone else does for so long, and I actually really like the album by Queens of the Stone Age, Songs for the Deaf, or Songs for the Dead, and they did the record like that, and it sounded so good. We just kind of wanted to give it a shot. I think 9 Inch Nails tried something like that at one point, so that was kind of partially like an inspiration to try something different than the way everyone else does it, and it was tough, but it worked out.
What exactly is the theory behind that?
It allows you to sort of like manipulate the sounds of the drums and the cymbals in a way that you couldn't necessarily do that if you were to do it live. So like, as an engineer, you can kind of like take one thing, and if you want to make it to sound like an electronic drum or make it sound bigger than in one part than the other, it allows you the freedom to do that when you have this isolation versus just one big track. So thanks for asking that. That's a kind of
no, I thought it was really cool because it's basically like treating it like 2 separate instruments almost. Right?
Almost like electronic too, like how they have like drum machines and you could kind of mess with it,
And this is the tour you pretty much just recently finished. This is why we rescheduled the show, right? Because this came up. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we have a lot of tours that come up sometimes that are like kind of like, whoa, wait, what? So, some of this was organized, some of it was sort of tacked on, but I just did this tour, and the last day of the tour was also when I started a Julie Christmas tour, so I just stayed in Europe.
So that's what I was getting to, and I have that flyer. But I mean, this looks pretty cool. You basically went and played the UK for a couple weeks. I mean, those kind of tours are nice. It doesn't look like any of the drives are crushing. It's like and the band's 2 other people. I mean, it seems like kind of really nice.
It is,
You don't have your stuff stolen.
Oh, that part is never fun. Yeah, Manchester, always, man. Manchester, I got robbed twice in Manchester.
Got robbed twice?
So sorry.
Twice, yeah. By we did a GoFundMe and we were really lucky, but our van was broken into. Manchester could get a little dicey sometimes as far as UK is concerned.
Sure. And this is the show you're talking about, Hellfest, and what I noticed, of course, is not only is Spotlights on the bill, but Julie Christmas is on the bill.
I mean, I can't tell you how I know you can relate to this because, like, you don't really think things like this are going to happen when you're older. It's usually when you're younger. But when I saw this lineup, I was freaking I was freaking out. I was like, what the fuck? It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well,
and is this also the show that you ended up on stage with Mr. Bungle?
It was the same tour. Yeah, it was the same tour. Yeah, that was crazy too.
So we got Metallica, Saxon. That's cool. I would have seen Dickinson, Bungle, Suicidal.
There was actually a lot of New York hardcore bands on this too, but it was on a different day. If I'm not mistaken, Madball played and maybe AF, but Madball definitely played.
Total Chaos, I see. Yngwie Malmsteen at the bottom of the bill. Oh
my God, it was so fun.
And Eugene's band Oxbow.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we were on tour with them as well. It was Mr. Bungle, Oxbow, and Spotlights.
And just as we're sort of just doing like the Spotlights tour here, is this? I'm trying to figure out. I think this happened already, right? Hold on. Did this happen or is this happening?
That happened already.
Okay.
Yeah, shout out to Walter.
Yeah.
We did a couple, all those guys. We did a couple tours with Quicksand.
Yeah.
My favorite New York band, hands down. I mean, I love Quicksand, so it was it's cool to be friends with them now, which is wild in my brain because I certainly had posters of those guys on my wall.
and they've really kind of had a bit of a revival with in the past couple years, putting out some new material. Oh, John says that's the tour I did too. Oh, yeah. That's the tour John played guitar in Quicksand.
Yeah, that was crazy because we're both in Julie Christmas together. That would be John from Candiria, and he ended up playing lead guitar for Quicksand. So we're kind of inseparable.
John should I mean, I just think that John should just be in Quicksand, but I know they have a kind of a couple of guys,
Yeah, he's what a treasure John is.
Great guy. Great guy. Quicksand is a beloved band here in New York, and that's a band that from doing this show I really visited and really learned to appreciate Quicksand. They sort of weren't on my radar screen initially, but having Wally on the show and Sergio and everybody else, like, fuck, man, I love that band.
Yeah.
Love that band.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were like New York City's Fugazi,
and also my good friend Astoria Lou is a big Quicksand fan and knowledgeable Quicksand guy,
Nice.
So, that said, so how does Julie? I'm digging out my Julie Christmas stuff. Give us the Julie Christmas background. How does that come into play?
Yeah, so she actually was in a band called Made Out of Babies that was late 90s, early 2000s. She's from Brooklyn, born and raised, and kind of in that Unsane Swans kind of world of New York music. And I basically found out she wanted to do another solo record because she had done one over almost 10, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So she'd been around for a minute, but
that was The Bad Wife?
The Bad Wife, yeah, which John Lamacchia helped write a bunch of that from Candiria. I love that we're connecting on that, Lori. And
it's just beautiful. I mean, it's just her aesthetic is just so ethereal and beautiful and brutal, and
that's a great beautiful and brutal at the same time as
beautiful and brutal.
But I mean, I knew her partner. The bass player of the band, Andrew Schneider, and her are together, and he has produced most of the Unsane records and a lot of bands like that. And he invited me to join the band. There he is on the top left over there with John. And man, I actually had no idea how popular she was in Europe, but she's bigger in Europe than in America because of a band called Cult of Luna that she did a collaborative record with in 2016, and that's a band from Sweden that's very popular over there.
Yes, yeah. And that's a heavier bands.
And
there they are there. Yeah.
And look and doing my homework and just seeing, like, wow, going out with her, between Spotlights and Julie Christmas, man, you're out there. Yeah, I mean, Europe is like your second home these days.
I mean, you know how it is too. It's like you hear this from a lot of bands that we know. Like, they don't. I don't take for granted what we get to do here, but they don't show up like they do over there.
Yeah,
it's weird. I mean, we played St. Vitus, and it was like maybe 200 something people, but then we go to Berlin or something, and it's just a completely different thing, and it's mind blowing. So it's you're never gonna not have love for your own city, but when you see how much more they appreciate it over there, it's hard to not want to keep going back.
Well, I think she's like really like her music is more of like art,
Yeah.
And I think for some reason that stuff just goes over better in Europe, you know? I don't know, that experimental kind of, you know, art. It's not, you know, it's like it's very cerebral, you know? It's not already digested for you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to be as typical as you have to be over here to get noticed. Over there, I think I know exactly what you're saying, Lori.
Paulie says Americans have too many choices when it comes to shows, unlike Europeans and South Americans. I guess, you know, they just and here's our boy Chris Contos from Forbidden and formerly Machine Head. Europe is so much more into music and live music. The U.S. has lost the plot completely.
Yeah, I think like maybe there's something about that, you know, whereas, you know, they want to make a lot of money. So it's like they want to process the same formula over and over and over again in America, whereas Europe, it was different. And so that maybe they're just more used to something like this, you know? So
absolutely. And frankly, with, you know, not to get too deep, but the governments over there, they actually are a bit more supportive when it comes to these things. They give you grants to throw festivals and open up venues and start record labels. So, you know, that's another thing too.
Right. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning of the show, where, you know, the European festivals are a lot more diverse musically, you know?
Yeah. So. I'll tell you this much. I still would never want to move outside of New York, though. It's still the best place.
Gotta stick around for the pizza.
You don't need to tell me. I'm going through this in my life right now about, you know, where do we want to live, where we want to move to, and I don't want to move anywhere. I want to stay here.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love, you know, I like Cape Cod and everything, but I come back home here and it just feels, like these are my people.
Nothing like it. Yeah.
What's going on in this shot in my Julie Christmas folder?
We were playing a festival called Roskilde in I'm embarrassed. I don't even know what
Denmark.
Denmark. Foo Fighters were headlining, and I looked to my left, and Pat Smear was sitting at the same table as us.
Right.
So I started talking to him, but I really made sure, you know, I spoke more about the Germs and the LA punk scene to get him going, which worked, and I'm glad that I went with that approach. It was really nice.
He's always a pretty nice guy. Is this I was looking at this. I think is this the last thing you just did? This thing?
That's the last show I played a couple weeks ago. Yeah, that was
get a load of this fucking ordeal, huh?
Yeah, I mean the lineups there too. It's just like very mixed. I mean, I guess they do it here too, but I mean, it's just so much more normal over there, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the thing too that happens when you see these festivals, like if you're a part of it or you're a musician or whatever, and you're like, holy shit. And then at a closer review, you're like, shit, we're playing the 15th. You know, we're in that morning and we're out that night. And, you know, you don't get it. You know, it's sort of a common misconception when people see like these festivals, it's usually spread out over a bunch of days. And very rarely as a traveling musician, you know, do you get to see, you know, anybody else who's playing, because not only do they have to be playing your day, but you also have to get ready to do your set. And it's not like right before you play, like you're out like at the other stage watching this or that. Like, you know, you got to do people have to do their game day routine to get ready to play and then sort of decompress from playing. So it's kind of hard to see, you know, bands in these situations. You know,
you're absolutely right. It's an ordeal. It's work. It's not like fun and games when you're there, you know?
Yeah. So that is.
And
that
now the latest Julie Christmas album, the Ridiculous and Full of Blood, which I think is pretty much like the best album name ever.
Oh, thank you. I can't take credit for it, but I loved that she wanted to call it that. It's just if you know her, it makes sense.
Describes humans, really. We're ridiculous and full of blood.
Totally.
Right on.
So, and that was the first one that you recorded with her as well?
Yeah, that was my first one, and hopefully not my last because I'm having so much fun with her that I just feel like we're just getting started.
How does it work? I mean, is it like first come first serve basis between Spotlights and Julie Christmas and I know we're going to talk a little bit about Orange 9mm, but like, how does it work in your world? Is there a priority, or like how does that work?
I mean, honestly, like Spotlights is a full-time band. Julie is not really a full-time band. We just have sort of like a lot to kind of fall back on with her because she does have a cult following. So when we do get out and play, we're able to get on really good shows, but they're not usually very long tours. So that summer tour that you saw was sort of like one took place for like a week, and then there was like a couple weeks gap, and then we went back. So we're able to kind of split it up. But I just communicate with everybody ahead of time. I mean, right now I'm communicating with people and saying like, are we playing shows in April or May or June? Because I have to figure out my schedule so I don't like upset anybody.
Yeah.
And I think, also I was going to ask you, how do you balance this all? Because, you also had a life-changing experience last October.
Yeah. Oh, but yeah, my wife is amazing. She grew up coming up to hardcore shows as well. And, I made sure that before we started dating that we were on the same page. I said, look, I love you, but I'm going to go on tour a lot. So I hope that's okay. And she actually loves the reset button once in a while. It actually helps us a lot.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Thanks for asking and bringing that up. Yeah.
Yeah. So lots of luck to the both of you. Lots of happiness,
Thank you, Lori. Thank you. Awesome. You're awesome. I can't. You guys got to hang out because you guys have a lot in common too. So like being a librarian, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah.
You got to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
cool.
That would be awesome.
Chris Contos, good one. We just played Bloodstock in the UK. Watched the same people going crazy for Deicide, then flogging Molly. That's funny.
It's true. It's totally that.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
And did I just see a tour poster for New Zealand?
Oh yeah, we just announced Spotlights is touring New Zealand in November.
Incredible.
So that's my next big one. Yeah.
Now, is that the first time there?
First time there. Yeah, that's awesome. The sleep schedule is going to be interesting, but
yeah,
that's what this is for. So
we'll the land of sheep. Yes.
No rest for me.
That's incredible, though.
Thank you. Good.
Lori, I know you're on the clock.
Yes, I am.
So anybody you want to thank? Any parting words for us? And I'll see you.
My parting words. I hope you guys talk a little bit about Chris's solo project, Light Tower, because I can't believe how many instruments you play.
Thank you.
And how well you do everything. And I really, really like that stuff as well, which I recently just checked out. And I can't get some of those songs out of my head. So
oh my gosh. Well, Lori, I can't believe that you are as supportive as you are. It really truly means a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like North Shore Hospital, we were both born there, so
there's something in that hospital that made
it about it,
Yes, yeah.
Hey, Lori, before you go, Lori, what's happening with this?
Oh, okay. Well, this is the Holiday Slamboree. It is happening on December 22nd. We are going to have the Women of the Pit coat drive once again. So as you are cleaning out your closets, getting ready for fall, if you grew out of anything, if you whatever, we are taking your clean, gently used coats. If you don't have any and if you still want to help out, take yourself to Costco, buy yourself a $30 winter coat, bring it down. And we'll be collecting coats for a local shelter and Oasis again. And of course, we have some amazing bands on the bill. So
and
an amazing DJ, Cindy.
And last year when we did the coat drive, it was incredible because people showed up and it was like and left with it. It was really a nice feeling that they were going. It was like right there going to people that needed them. So it was a fantastic event.
Yeah, it was really cool.
And this year, non-residents headlining. We're doing our My War thing, which is a couple of members from bands doing. It's kind of like a punk rock karaoke thing. We're gonna have different singers coming up with me and Aaron from Butterbrain and Will from Neck Scars and drummer Mike. and Fire is Murder, Shoot the Five, Stevens Band, Serial Poet. So this is going to be a really, really great event. Cindy, formerly of the Lunatics, so there you go.
Looking forward to it for sure. Right. Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you soon.
Chris was great.
Oh, God.
Thank you. Pride of Long Island right there.
Oh, you're the best. I love you. Thank you. Let's connect really soon. Okay.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
There you go. Lori Dawn in the house.
Amazing.
Out of the house. Yeah, I brought her in as the color commentary.
I love her. She's awesome, man.
Well, she was saying to me, I love this record. And you got to ask him about this. I'm like, why don't you just come on with me and like, just come on, So
amazing.
There you go. Let me take a quick sponsor break, and we'll do some more stuff, and we'll do some questions from around the world. Do you have a hard out? Do you have to get out?
No, I'm good. I'm going to go run to the restroom. I'll be right back.
Go ahead. We got a couple minutes. Well, there you have it. Our guest today is Chris Enriquez. Yo, you got questions? Now's the time. All you people that have been posting your fakakta questions the whole show, repost them now. Go weird. Get deep. Come on now. What the hell else you doing on this Memorial Day weekend? This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. And we are sponsored by blah, 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 and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, promo photos, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rowley, Ringo Starr, and of course, my friends and yours, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.texassilverrush.com. Last but not least, come on now, 126 Hardcore Clothing is a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise, like you, my friend. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always giving room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Get in touch with them. Ramp up your game. www.126clothing.com. You got questions? Post them up now. Come on now. Get with it. Want to mention, hey, show needs support. Show always needs support. Listen, you're watching the show, you're enjoying it. Maybe you've been sort of lurking a bit. Please support the show. There's a Patreon page, www.patreon.com/Drew Stone. Join Patreon for $2 a month or $5 a month. The more, the merrier. The show really needs support now. A couple years into it, people come, people go. But the reason we're still doing it is because of your support. Believe me when I tell you, it's your support that makes this train run down the tracks. There's a PayPal address as well. There's also a super chat function. If you have a question, do the super chat function for a couple bucks. It comes through in color. I can't miss it. And there you go. Give the show a like, please, if you're watching right now. There's a subscribe button right there. Subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Stone Films NYC. So that said, I think did I cover all the events and everything? Yeah, enough of the events. We kind of got, we got to it pretty well. Let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guests back on. Here we go. Let's put you over there. And let's see what we got, brother. Well, Paulie asks, hey, Chris, what was the craziest thing you ever witnessed at one of your shows, any band?
Well, actually, okay, I'm trying to think quick here. So I probably would say we played with Mr. Bungle in Hollywood last year. And when we were done with our set, I went backstage and Jerry Cantrell was standing back there with Robert Trujillo and a couple other interesting folks. And that was just mind blowing. I mean, I don't know if we were trying to find a story about something crazy in the sense of a fight or something insane like that. But I mean, that's a pretty crazy thing to see when you get off stage. So I don't know.
Well, that kind of segues with Ryan Bland. Chris from Ake. Hey, Chris, talk about you singing a Cro-Mag song with Mr. Bungle. What's the story? So wild.
Okay, so when we played with Mr. Bungle in Brooklyn at our show, they covered Malfunction, and Harley Flanagan came up and sang the song. And after touring with Bungle for a while, they would keep that song in the set. And so I finally, just had the courage one day in Europe a few months ago to ask if I could sing the song with Mike. And not only did he say yes, but he actually just gave me the mic and told me to do it by myself. So for a night, I got to sing with Mr. Bungle, which was crazy, with Scott Ian on guitar and Lombardo behind me. It was totally nuts. Yeah,
that's awesome. And that's the tour that Eugene Robinson was on, right?
That's correct. Yeah, they were there. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, we love that guy. Darren asks, do you have a favorite? We haven't talked about gear at all. Do you have a favorite drum kit brand that you like to play?
Yeah, you know what? I know the nerdy stuff can be interesting, but also, I don't want to go on too much to bore people. But thank you for asking that. I mean, I actually use a lot of brands that not many people are aware of, because I just like supporting independent brands. So there's a company called Jenkins Martin Drums out of St. Louis. I found out about that through the band Hum that we played with. A bunch of drummer Brian St. Pierre turned me on to these drums, and so I've been using those ever since. And I use Dream Cymbals from Canada, and those are the sort of brands that I'm using right now.
Very cool. Right on. Robert Hogg in Scotland, who got the Oasis tickets, says, is there anything coming from Primitive Weapons? I saw you in Glasgow in 2017 supporting Dillinger. Escape Plan, was so impressed, got your album after the show.
You know what? I wish we were doing more stuff. That was a really awesome show. I remember it, and it was the last Dillinger tour in Europe. But I am in a new band called Bein, Beinn, which is actually, funny enough, a Scottish beer. And our singer Artie, who is in Primitive Weapons, also on St. Vitus, is a big fan of Scottish and English culture, which is how we got the name. But we're playing in a few weeks at the Desert Fest NYC with High on Fire in Queens.
Primitive Weapons is?
No, it's a new band with members of Primitive Weapons. I'm sorry.
Right, you said that.
That's all I got going on with as far as anything with those guys.
I saw that the Desert Fest in was it the Monarch? Is that where it's like in Brooklyn?
That's Metal Injection Fest. This is Desert Fest in Maspeth, Queens, at the Knockdown Center.
Cool, very cool.
A couple weeks.
Who did I see playing that? Is that
like High on Fire?
High on Fire. Right.
Yeah, it could be a good one.
Hell yeah. That said, I'd be amiss to not talk about, because I just saw you play a couple weeks ago. Tell us how this kind of came to be and what this is. What is this?
Okay, so the quick story is that I used to train with Gavin Van Vleck from Bern, who is a very, very dear friend of mine. And back in, I think it was 2022, I played in Bern at the Tompkins Square show with Madball and Blood Clot and and Murphy's Law. So Chaka and I
do have that.
Yeah. I mean, I've known Chaka for a long time as well. And there was talk of Orange 9 getting back together. And I threw my name into the hat. Yep, that was the show. So that was the first time me and Chaka played in a band together, was that brief period I was in Bern. And I put my name in the hat for Orange 9 when I heard that he was interested in getting the band together, simply because I wasn't sure if out of all the lineups, if any of the original guys were going to come back. And sure enough, I got the call, and we got to play the New York City Tattoo Convention at Terminal 5 with Into Another, and that was last July. It was such a awesome time because Orange 9 was one of my favorite bands growing up.
Yeah, it was a great show, and Orange 9 really brought it, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I first time I saw Orange 9, first time I saw Into Another, so I really enjoyed it.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a different time, like I'm obviously, I'm sure you saw Underdog, and all that stuff. So it was, you know, I was kind of the second wave, I guess. Yeah.
Flora, what's up? Mafa Flora said, we love us some Chris Enriquez. He absolutely crushed you with Orange 9. Great show.
Thank you, Flora. Thank you.
Yeah. So and this is a Drew Stone question, is there any, and I asked you about this, is this the infamous banner that was hanging, that you hung, that was taped up? Is this that banner?
That is.
There's Gallo. There's Gallo in the back.
I've known Gallo for a really long time, since before he was in AF, because we're both Long Island guys. And I knew he was there. I knew his artwork. So I suggested it maybe like 20 minutes before the show. And so that's Chaka and Gallo from AF on the rooftop making a little homemade banner.
There's Chaka like breathing in fumes like right before he has to, and getting paint all over his hands right before he has to play.
Punk
right?
rock.
Yeah. That was good, man. That I really enjoyed. And here's a shot of you, Chaka, and Gavin as well, right?
Oh yes, yeah. Gavin really is.
Hey, there he is. Hey, there he is.
Chaka. Yeah,
hey,
I love
Chaka.
Absolute legends, those two guys.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed seeing Chaka on stage with Orange 9. You know, for me, just it's rare that I get to go to a show that I'm not promoting, I'm not playing, you know, and like I can actually hang out and enjoy it. It is a rarity, you know, that I could like just go to a show and just I'm here just to see, you know, and I'm there just to enjoy the music. You know, I'm
Absolutely.
not, you know, and this was one of those shows. And I know the sound wasn't the greatest in this place, but I love the vibe. I'm standing there. It's an open place. You see the buildings. I really enjoyed it, you know?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Cousin Joe, John Scanlon, and Civ for putting together an incredible event.
Yeah. And I know I've said to Chaka, man, if you guys, the door is open. If you ever want to come down to the Bowery and do one of our free all ages Sunday matinees, we'll get a sponsor. I'd love to have you guys come down there, man.
Oh yeah, I would love that. We're not done, so we're going to keep it going.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear that. What else? I'm not sure. Do you dig Matt Cross's playing?
Oh, that's the original drummer for Orange 9mm. And,
okay.
Yeah, and I guess that's Triv from 108. I think Matt was in 108 too. Yes. The answer is yes. I love all the drummers from that era. They had a lot of great groove, and Matt Cross was up there with Alan Cage and John Stanier and all those guys. Yeah,
absolutely. Good question, Pat Baldwin. Thank you. Any Long Island bands from the 90s that have been forgotten or underappreciated, in his opinion? In other words, I kind of phrase it, any unsung heroes from that era, bands you thought were really going to kind of be huge or make it, or anybody that kind of never really got their due, but were special in your heart?
Absolutely. I will say two bands, I'll try to make this a quick one, but like, I honestly feel like all of the Long Island bands for the 90s were underappreciated because none of them really got the same credit that a lot of other scenes came to be recognized. So obviously Neglect, Mind Over Matter, Silent Majority, Clockwise, there's so many, but for me personally, I'm going to name two very deep cuts. Kevin Egan was in a band called The Last Crime. That was a really good band that I was very influenced by. That was kind of in that Fugazi kind of realm. And another band that was in that realm that was great and underappreciated was a band called Garden Variety. Again, like a very Fugazi kind of type band from the 90s in Long Island.
Right. Last Crime Forever, Fountainhead.
Yeah, that's another Long Island band. That's Chris Traynor, who's in Bush, Norm from Texas The Reason, and Scott Weingard, and Taylor, who plays in Orange 9 now, that was also from that era.
That's Fountainhead?
That's Fountainhead.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Leave it to Astoria Lou.
Yeah.
Dillinger Compound asks, is Spotlights hitting Toronto on 24-25? I missed the Baby G show last year.
I see. Baby G's a good venue in Toronto that we played. We're touring for sure in 2025, but we're just still working out the details. And we go to Canada a lot, so I can't imagine we won't be coming there.
Listen, you know what? We chased him out of the darkness. Jonathan Buskey out there in Long Island. Garden Variety, good choice. A Day in the Life also ripped.
Yeah, we had a lot of great ones. We just didn't get the cool documentaries and all the books that every other scene got. So it is what it is. And we had some big bands come from there, but that went mainstream. But there was a lot more than that.
Cool. You sent me a bunch of pictures, and I just want to ask you about this one. I'm kind of going back and I want to ask you. This one caught my eye. Is this don't tell me. This is Stuart Copeland, right?
Yeah.
And is that Adrian Belew?
You know what? Stuart Copeland had another band that wasn't the Police from back in the day. And
I think is that Adrian Belew from
King Crimson?
And from King Crimson, and he played with Zappa. For some reason, I think it's Adrian. Yeah, Adrian Belew.
Yeah. They had a band that I didn't interview them. They were in the office, and I got to meet them. We had a radio show in the office, and they were walking around, and I had to get a quick photo opportunity.
Yeah. And he played in Bowie's band too, right? I gotta hold on. I gotta dig out my Adrian Belew picture. Hold on.
Yeah, man. King Crimson, man. What a band.
Yeah, here you go. So I saw he was doing something somewhere, and I got a chance to talk to him, and somebody snapped this picture, and I got to tell him that I got to tell Adrian Belew that
oh my Lord, that is so amazing that you were able to pull that up as quickly as you did.
Listen, bro, it's what I do on flights, man. I label everything. It's that easy. So this is like 94 because I'm wearing a Biohazard tour jacket. This is like on State of the World address tour. But he was doing something somewhere, and I said to him, bro, I said, bro, I saw Frank Zappa at the Palladium with you in 77. Like, I saw you play with Frank, man. And I saw Adrian Belew play with Frank Zappa, and that was a big that was one of the shows I saw as a very young person that deeply affected me.
Come on,
yeah. Saw Zappa on the Halloween run. Yeah, is that right, Billy Pilgrim? Belew's one of my biggest guitar influences, and I see that he's doing. I think he's doing something with. It's like Belew, Steve Vai. I think Terry Bozzio. I think, yeah.
That would make sense. And
all Zappa guys.
Yeah,
all Zappa guys. Yeah. Stuart Copeland is on the Mount Rushmore of drummers with Bonham and Pert. Yeah, it's probably fair to say. Yeah. Yep. There we go. The Bears. That's what that was called. The Bears.
Okay, that makes sense.
That's what that project was called.
They had an offshoot that was like from back in the day, and then they revisited it, and I think there was a brief sort of thing they did. I don't know if they put out a record, but yeah.
Was Les Claypool in that project? I don't know.
No. That's Les Claypool. Stuart Copeland did something though, I think.
Yeah. He's a great drummer, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. Any other questions? Post them. We're heading down the home stretch. As I'm. Oh yeah. Here's a nice one. Being that he's been in the chat room, being a part of this show. There's you and come on, pop it. Didn't like it. Let me try again. There you go.
Oh yeah. So Jesse is I tried out for Jesse Malin a long time ago.
Is that right?
He's supposed to play drums for his solo.
Is that right? That's cool.
In the basement of I don't know if it was it was at Brownies. It was so long ago, but I don't remember why I just didn't end up in the band. But He is amazing, and my friend Renee, who I referred to, was his head of security at Niagara, and the cabin down below. So that was the connection for me and Jesse, and who I hope is doing well. And then Ryan, like I said, was the first punk rocker that I had ever seen in my life, in the flesh. And I must have introduced myself to him and said, "Hey, man, I know you." And I remember seeing his band at Coney Island High too. So I love Ryan. I got one more thing, if we don't mind, Drew. I know that we can't cover everything, but if I don't mention my actual New York hardcore band, they're going to kill me. But I did start a hardcore band with my friends called Total Meltdown that is very traditional in the sense of the sound, Leeway meets Cro-Mags and everything in the middle. But that's a band I play guitar in, and we're working on an EP right now, and we have one out as well. But I think your audience would probably take a liking to that more than probably most of my projects. So I want to shout out Total Meltdown.
And here is a Total Meltdown shot. There you go. Right? Who's in the band?
So this is Drew Castle, who's in another band called Perfect World. That's a kind of a contemporary hardcore band. Ralph Torres, who is my best friend in the middle. He's the lead singer. I met him at CBGB at that H2O show that I was talking about earlier. And then Corey Bonfiglio on the drums. I play guitar. He was the guy that used to run the record shop at Utopia on Long Island that you get all your punk records from him in the 90s. And, we're doing our thing. As a matter of fact, Carl from Killing Time filled in for me on guitar when I couldn't play. So, we've been doing some cool shit. We definitely want to play one of your shows whenever you have it.
You absolutely should. Let's talk after the show, because I'm booking some dates now. What are the sort of the dynamics between, hey, I'm drumming this show or I'm playing guitar in this show? Is it it's two different worlds, isn't it?
It is. I play every instrument, but I have never been able to play the New York hardcore style. It's just been something that I've always been a fan of, and I love bands like Agnostic Front and Cro-Mags and Leeway and Madball and Sick Riddle. So it gave me an opportunity to. This is me sort of like paying tribute to the New York hardcore scene with my friends that also love New York, and they're all guys I grew up with.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Long Island represent.
Yeah,
let me see what else, because you sent me such a wealth of stuff.
Light Tower is my solo project. I don't want to push it too hard here because I know we have limited time, but
whoa.
I mean, Drew, I watch your show, and you do a lot for everybody, and I don't take it for granted. So I don't want to kill you here.
No, here it's okay. We got a couple minutes, and I'm on my own tonight. So I'm on my own tonight. So
I want to thank everybody that is here too, because I really didn't know what to expect. So it helps to have an audience always. Now,
so tell us about this crew.
So this is funny, and I should mention this because it's a New York show. But if anybody's been to CBGB's in the 90s and to the end, the guy on the top there with the whole shirt, that's Josh from CB's. He was stagehand there, and he's an amazing musician.
Wow.
Any video that you've ever seen, he's probably on stage. If it was in the 90s to the 2000s. In fact, the last video footage of anyone with Hilly in there is just Josh and Hilly hanging out in the office, and not in the office, but in that like table up front.
Sure.
So Hilly was like a father to Josh, and that's my friend. I met him at CB's, and he plays guitar. And then the guy on the top right, that's Jason Crawford, hailing from Queens, on the drums. On the bottom right, that's Craig Howe, who owns and runs a place called the School of Williamsburg School of Music. He teaches kids how to play instruments, which is awesome. That's Justin Williams in the middle, who's in On the Might of Princes with me, and then I sing and play guitar in the band.
Yeah, and I have a shot of that. It's a cool looking guitar. What guitar is this? Bim, bim, bim. What is that you're playing?
Thanks for asking. That's a very limited guitar. It's a GNL. Jerry Cantrell is one of the only other guys that has that model, and it is it was made by Leo Fender, and a friend of mine who stopped playing music gifted it to me.
Wow! So it's an early GNL.
Yes. Yeah. I love that guitar. It's so unique. I thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, GNL's got a couple of gems in their early stuff. There's a couple of people just love playing GNLs, man.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to think outside the box. That's my whole thing, man. There's a lot of great equipment out there that isn't what you would always just see at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And some people definitely have an eye. Have an eye for that stuff. Excuse me. A couple of my favorites through the years that you've sent. I like this one a lot. Of course, you and Paul Cook from the Pistols, right?
Yeah, that was another guy that was in my office doing some promo. It was actually not the Pistols that he was promoting. He was in some other band back in the day that reunited briefly that I'm blanking on, unfortunately. But I had to.
Was it the Professionals?
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. I'm stoked. I happened to be wearing a Fred Perry the day that I got to meet him because it was very fitting to the vibe.
Yeah.
Good
one. And then I'm sure in your travels, it could be Revolver or, we love this guy.
Same thing. He was just in the office doing, he was promoting Kiss Coffin, I think. It was one of his like crazy business venture things that he was doing, and he was nice, man. People are afraid of. You mentioned Danzig and Gene Simmons has a reputation. They were all very nice guys.
Gene has always been nice when I've interacted with him. He's a pro. That guy's a pro. Yeah. Is that right, Billy? I saw the Professionals on that tour also. I saw the Professionals in 1981 in the Bradford Ballroom in Boston. I think it was on that same run that they played the Left Bank in Mount Vernon. I saw the Professionals in 81. Yep.
Wow, that's crazy.
Rest in peace, Mario. Cuz says, which Mario?
Oh, you know what? I read my condolences. I know Cuz lost a friend this weekend, I think.
Rest in peace, his brother Payaso. I'm not sure who Mario.
Oh, Mario. Sorry. Mario is somebody that worked at Revolver before me. That was friends with a lot of hardcore people.
Capiche.
Yeah.
I got it, Cuz. Thank you. Yeah, he says Revolver.
That's right. Thank you for the reminder.
Yes, Chris Contos. Dimebag was laid to rest in a Kiss coffin. This is true. Tiv Karama, Tim Cohn. Any guitarists that you love that inspire you on the instrument?
I'll give you a really niche one from the New York scene, specifically Orlando from Still Suit.
Wow.
And who's really amazing too is obviously Gavin Van Vleck. I gave a lot of shine to, but Mike Dijon. As far as just like guys that like kind of like push the envelope for Tom Capone. There you go.
Was that just synchronicity that I put that up? Right?
Yeah. I mean, they're all similar. They played hardcore, but really kind of took a left turn that made it a little interesting. That was when I played drums for Beyond.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I played with Tom for a minute there. He's a very talented guy.
Yeah, you played with Tom at maybe, if I'm not mistaken, at the Bungle show.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were sort of transitioning between Antidote and Incendiary Device.
Exactly.
There was a bridge there, Antidote NYHC, and Tom did a bunch of shows with us before we rebranded ourselves as Incendiary Device, and we appreciate him hanging in there and doing
such a good guitar player.
Yeah, he's a talented guy. Let me see. Do I got any other ones? Well, I'll ask you about this band. I see some of your usual suspects. Is this Gracer?
Yeah, Gracer went. So look, when On the Might of Princess broke up, we were on Revelation, and we barely got to enjoy our time on Rev. So I called up the people that were working at the time, and I was almost like, "Hey, man, like, if I start a new band, what will you at least consider checking it out and giving me a chance?" Because it was like kind of a dream come true to be on Revelation, but then to have my band break up so quickly was just heartbreaking. So I started this band, and the vibe was like kind of like melodic, indie rock kind of stuff. It wasn't very core, to be quite honest with you, but at that time, Rev was really putting out a lot of like different types of music. So they gave us a chance. Of course, the band broke up. That was the story of my life, was bands breaking up, which was eventually why I wanted to stop, but yeah, you know how it is. It's having a band is tough. Yeah,
it really is. And as you get older, it's it's really tough as well. And what I've really learned, in the past couple of years is, that's why a lot of bands this is sort of my take on it. A lot of bands sort of hang on to their legacy very tightly, because as you get older, to start a new band with a new name is very difficult in this day and age right now. Just the way things are now, and the way young people don't really care much about, the roots of the older bands. So
it's true.
if you're a little bit older, it's very difficult to start something new. So, and that's why I understand why a lot of band members, why if you have a legacy and you have a band that, you got to kind of, people are hanging on to that. But
you got to give it a chance. I have a different outlook on all that now. I mean, like Power Trip, what a sad situation. I was friends with Riley Gale, who passed away, but those guys absolutely deserve a second chance.
Sure.
They're still alive. They can enjoy what they created together. So people need to be a little more sensitive to that when they can't continue with the original members. It's just not always possible.
100%. And just the way I feel about it is, it's a celebration of the music.
Yes.
And that's the way my personal view on, Leonard Skinner doesn't have any members, or Power Trip, or this or that. I just feel like, I love those songs. It's a celebration of the music, and I take it for what it's worth, man. I want to hear those songs.
And it's usually that or nothing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Ray Hogan asks, any influences come to you through Revolver?
You mean in the sense of like people I'm influenced by that have come across? So many. I mean, I got to meet a lot of my heroes through working at the media outlets that I'm at. I mean, I don't know, like Dave Grohl comes to mind. I met him.
Good one.
There was a couple events through Revolver that I met. Yeah. And, obviously it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out that as a drummer that also sings and plays guitar, that he's not a major influence on me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good one. All right. That said, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I the fact that anyone stuck with us this long, it means so much to me. So thank you so much for doing this.
Anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank?
Yes. Yeah. I would like to, shout out, the New York hardcore scene, and just, Cousin Joe. When I moved to the city, I met him, and they were very accepting to me when I moved there. And I really needed to find a new place to be, because Long Island was a tough place, but, respect to the Long Island hardcore scene as well. And then I also wanted to say I'm in a project with John LaMacchia. It's called LaMacchia. And we're playing Metal Injection Festival in a few weeks, which you put up on the screen. And just shout out to you, Drew, and shout out to everybody here, Lori, Messina, the whole crew. It means more than to be acknowledged by the New York hardcore scene.
Thank you, and you deserve it, man. Doing a deep dive into your catalog. I'm really happy for you. You're out there, not to sound corny, because people, what do you do? I'm living the dream. But man, I know you worked hard, and You worked hard for it. It was a slow climb. And, you know, you're receiving a lot of just accolades now. You're touring the world and you're doing what you love doing. So I'm very happy for you, Chris.
I can't thank you enough, Drew. What you do is incredible. The guests that you've had and the ones you have coming up, you've really, I can't wait for Thurston Moore.
Thank you so much. Yeah. All right, let's talk soon, Chris. Hey, I'm going to reach out to you. I got a date. I want to pitch you a date.
Please.
About playing one of our free all ages Sunday matinees. So I'll text you tonight after dinner or whatever.
Thank you, Drew. Have a wonderful day, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. There you have it. Another one in the books. Yes, Paulie, it was a great show. Thanks to everybody. A lot of people came out of the woodwork today. Cousin Joe, Mike MacGyver, John LaMachia, Chris Contos, Chaka. Wow. Rachel. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I know who you are. I did my homework. I'll come see you play next time. You know, hey, thanks, Billy. Thanks for coming by, and Ray Hogan and Flora, you know, Ryan Bland. It was a nice show today. It was very nice. Even you, Roger F. You know, everybody. And that's right, Dillinger Compound. It's Danny Carey, not Terry Bozzio. Right? I'd like to see that, man. I would really like to see that. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Chaka. Great show. You're a blessing to the I do it because I love it, man. I do it because I love it, and I'm really fortunate that, you know, you people support me and what I do, and nobody's getting rich here, but you know, I can pay the rent and bills, and I could do this show. And you know, give us an alternative to all that stuff that's out there, all the politics and all the jive that's going on social media. And man, we come here and we talk music. It's the tie that binds us together. This Friday, just a reminder, I am down in Philly. I am moderating the Ray Capo From Punk to Monk book event. Please come through at Creep Records. I'd love to see you. And then we're back here 1 week from today, with Vinny Stigma and Howie Abrams and their new book. This is going to be a barn burner. We got Stigma coming back on the show. So really looking forward to that. So thanks, everybody. Until next time, do good things and good things will come to you. Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty.